You know what I tell my people? You can fucking do it. You know what I tell my kids? You can fucking do anything. You can do anything you set your mind to, because that's what a good parent and a good leader should do. What is he telling them? You can't do anything. Why? Because you are victims.
This is about control. Everybody knows. Everyone complies. We're the kinds of pros. I don't need a plane. I just hit the road. I do what I want. I can't sell my soul. Market about to crash. This is what you chose. Ruining the country. I think that's the goal. You gonna take the mark. I take narrow roads. I'm a man of God. I can never fold.
All right. Welcome to the Protect Your Purpose podcast, where we talk whiskey, business, friends, family, and freedom. And today, coffee. Espresso. I'm your host. I am your host, Matt Marchese, and this is my co-host, Zach. The cat is back. Grady. I'm just kidding. It's still the same day. He's still got to get his fucking cat. Cheers, my friend. What are you drinking today? Oh, you're drinking Stag?
Yep. I'm making you pay for this episode.
That's all right. Yeah. This is a small price to pay for your friendship and your co-hostness on the show.
God. So, thank you so much.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the nicest thing you've ever said to me.
Salute. Is it?
No, probably not.
I say nice things to you all the time. I'm a kind guy, but you're a... Nope. Listen. No homo. You're a lovable guy.
Thank you. Appreciate
and...
Something about that butt chin I just can't say no to.
Yeah, especially when you're like in Army.
Adorable.
Yeah, when you retire, I'm gonna miss that butt chin because I have a feeling you're chomping at the bit to grow a beard over
Are you gonna full must or beard the rest of your life?
Oh, maybe not the rest of my life, but for sure.
I've only shaved once since I got out.
Yeah, you're making me
7 years
commit
ago.
the rest of my
Ian
life.
comes in the rest of your life. Say it now.
Say it. Commit.
Say it
Oh,
now.
I did. I can. Literally, that was the thing I was probably the most excited about.
Yeah, I will probably never not have a beard again.
Yeah, that's fair to say.
Yeah.
I probably will too. We'll see. We'll see how life plans
Bye-bye,
out.
bud.
Anyway, listen, guys, we're short on time. You know the whole cat thing. Welcome back to the show.
Not to beat a dead cat or anything. But
I don't want to beat the cat dead. Jordan would be upset, as we already know. Anyway, before we get started, please, a little housekeeping. Please make sure you like and share and subscribe. Smash that like or smash that subscribe button. We surely appreciate it. It helps us grow. We are excited about the future. We're growing, and that is because people like you have shared wearing your Protect Your Purpose gear, shared links to the show and shorts and all the clips Ian works really hard on. So we appreciate if you share any of those and like them and subscribe, of course. We figured out what Zach's drinking. I got Ian's housekeeping done. Today, we are going to react to Tucker Carlson episode 2.
Dos.
Last episode, or last week, or last show, rather, we reacted to 1. I have seen this. Full disclosure. Have you seen this?
No.
I haven't seen 2 either.
You haven't either?
Nope.
Dude, this guy's a fucking badass.
And this one's
Dude,
called
money.
Was it something taboo?
I already know. I'm
Protect your taboos, or cling to your taboos.
Of course, you'd say protect your taboo.
Yeah, protect your fucking... Listen, protect your taboos. I know what he's going to say in this. I don't remember all the shit he said, but I do remember it's 12 minutes of fucking spit and fire, so I'm excited about it. I'm going to hop right into it. Ian, tell yourself to roll that video.
Roll that video. Pew, pew.
There it
Oh, he
is.
lasered it in.
I thought we were gonna
Pew,
bloop.
pew.
I thought we were blooping it in.
I changed the bomb to lasers.
Bloop bloop.
Yeah. Zach says when you drop that video, he says when you drop it in,
Like a bomb?
no, the
No.
dropping
like
sound is
drop
like
in
a
a bucket,
bloop.
like bloop.
Oh. I like the pew, pew better.
Yeah, the mouth laser.
Mouth lasers.
As opposed to the...
The mouth bombs?
Whoa!
Tractor beam. Tractor
Do that
beam.
one more time.
I can't do that.
Do you think is that how it sounds when you get UFOs?
It just sounds like Smoker Matt trying to do it.
When you get beamed up.
Beam me up, Scotty.
Yeah. All right. Did you pew the video in?
Yeah,
My
we're
video here.
pewed.
We're pewed. Let's go.
Play.
All right. Press play.
Oh, shit.
God.
Oh,
damn
fucking
it.
Ian.
Country. How
Start
would
it
you
over,
start?
'cause I don't know what he
wanna
said.
Make sure you had the complete
We're missing-
Press pause.
Hey,
missing
it's Tucker
important-
Carlson.
Hold on.
Let's
Press
say
pause.
you wanted to control a country.
Right now. Press pause. That's what he starts at. Remember a few episodes ago and last episode where we talked about Agenda 1, Agenda 2. We talked about the books. We talked about the destruction of America. We talked about the complete and utter communist control over our country.
Mm-hmm.
Tucker, of course, masterfully lays this out for us better than I ever could. I'm just not as I don't have as many words.
You
as
also
he
don't
does.
have a front wave like he does. Zach kind of does, though.
I do have a badass.
I might be able to pull off a Tucker.
Yeah.
Not
but you
now.
got that Johnny Bravo thing going for you. You can do that. He looks like a captain in the army or something, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, he could do the long hair right off his ears, just barely keep it around.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Navy, they're full of them, ain't they? Yeah, the officers.
Every admiral ever.
It's the officers, yeah. Anyway, this episode, and throughout this 12 minutes, I'm going to try not to interrupt as much and try and put as much on the back end as possible. But again, I don't have my notepad, so
Or whiskey.
I do have a delicious coffee that is whiskey-flavored coffee, though.
Ooh,
Whiskey-flavored espresso.
delish.
Does that count?
It
All right,
doesn't.
so
but
he's
go
going to
ahead.
masterfully lay out what he's starting to say is, let's say you wanted to control a country. Like, hey, people, I want to start this episode off. We're 5 or so minutes into it. It's time for you to get in the mind frame that someone, some being, somebody and a body, an entity, is trying to take over our country. And if you don't believe that, let's take a look back in all of history where people are trying to take over countries. It's no different.
And if you don't believe it, just at least be open-minded to the possibility. That's all just...
What if?
Yes, what if?
That's
What
what...
if?
Dude,
what about your children's future? Like, are you willing to bet your children's future that every person that says this is fucking wrong?
Dude, I say this shit all the time. You're a gun an anti-gun activist, okay? You're a opposition to the Second Amendment activist, and you say common sense gun laws. We shouldn't have assault weapons. We shouldn't be able to do this. Or as the super radicals would say, we shouldn't have any guns. We should be a gun-free society. I always say this. What if I were to tell you that if we did that, if we took away all the guns, then you would no longer have any freedoms. You would be beholden to the government. You would be a slave to the government. You would be now controlled by the government. And if you went against what the government said or spoke out against the government, you would be put into a labor camp. And if you did it enough times, they'd kill you. What if I told you that is the other end of having no guns? Would you still be an anti-gun activist? No, because you'd be saying, shit. But the people don't believe it. So Tucker is laying out the scene, and he's creating this openness, and he does it almost too subtly sometimes because he's too smooth and too crafty, where I wish he would just say, hey, what I'm saying, stop for a second and picture this as what if this was the situation? If you don't believe me, if you don't believe it's happening, whatever it is, but just what if? Open your mind to what if. Go ahead and press play.
Hey, it's Tucker Carlson. Let's say you wanted to control a country. How would you start? Well, you'd want to make sure you had the complete obedience of everybody inside your borders who was authorized to use deadly force. You would start with the military and then federal law enforcement and move your way down ultimately to agencies like the IRS. Controlling the guns would be a top priority for you if you ever wanted to go dictatorial, if you wanted to be baby doc. But let's say you had deeper ambitions. Let's say you wanted the power not simply to control people's behavior, but to control how they think, not just their bodies, but their...
Real quick. After this episode aired is when the official cease and desist was sent.
After this one.
After this.
So they let him get away with the first one.
Which didn't really go into like government and control. So I just find it funny. It's after just how this is starting. We're literally...
A minute.
We're 35 seconds in, and a little light bulb went off in my head. Light bulb, not light ball. Light ball.
A light bulb went off.
A light bulb went off in my head.
Fucking Navy.
Fucking Navy.
Of why this cease and desist was sent off. I'm like, oh, it all makes sense.
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
minds, as a god would. In that case, you need to take charge of the society's taboos. A taboo is something that by popular consensus is not allowed. A taboo may not be illegal, but it doesn't need to be. Over time, social prohibitions are more powerful and more enduring than laws.
This is
Societies
us
are
policing,
defined
society
by what they
policing
will not
each other.
permit,
Right.
as are famously
You
religious.
bigot.
Muslims don't eat pork. Neither do
Racist.
Orthodox Jews. Traditional Christians oppose extramarital sex. The Amish avoid electricity, and so on. American society isn't overtly religious, but it's governed by taboos, and it always has been. What's interesting is how fast our taboos are changing. This is not happening organically. What we're allowed to dislike is being dictated to us from above, sometimes by force. Until fairly recently, for example, it was taboo in this country to attack people on the basis of their race. That was the main lesson of the Second World War, we were told again and again. The one thing we learned from the Nazis is that it's dangerous to reduce human beings to their genetic code. There is no master race. That made sense, but apparently we no longer believe it. Punishing people based on their skin color is not only permitted in modern America, it is mandatory throughout business and government and higher education, as long as the victims are white. At one time, that would have been unimaginable. So with the current behavior of our politicians. As recently as the 1992 presidential campaign, adultery was considered disqualifying for anyone seeking higher office.
Have you ever heard that?
Bill Clinton was very nearly derailed in the New Hampshire primary by his affair with Jennifer Flowers. Clinton went to elaborate lengths to lie about the relationship because he had no choice. But he was the last presidential candidate who had to meet this standard. By 2008, it was obvious to anybody who was paying attention that Barack Obama had a strange and highly creepy personal life. Yet nobody ever asked him about it. By that point, a leader's behavior within his own marriage, the core relationship of his life, had been declared irrelevant. It was Barack Obama's business, not yours. One by one, with increasing speed, our old taboos have been struck down. Those that remain.
There's a different viewpoint or vantage point we can look at this through, or a different lens maybe we can look at this through. Donald Trump, the left, and the mainstream media tried to hold him to this standard with the Stormy Daniels thing. They tried, but even to Tucker's point, even the right and the Trump supporters dismissed this taboo as the norm and nobody gave a shit. So to Tucker's point, even when they tried to uphold this standard of, monogamy and tried to hold of a faithful nature in a personal relationship, when they tried to weaponize it against Trump, the right said the same thing. I don't give a shit. That's his own personal life. Where not long ago, we were chanting to impeach and remove him from office.
Well, as he said, you couldn't even hold an office if that was in.
So it's, again, as we've said 1,000 times on the show, this is not a right and a left thing. It's an everybody thing. This is the destruction of our social norms, or as Tucker is calling them, our taboos. What we used to do, what used to be our moral standards, and as we know, the communist plan is to destroy our moral standards. And it's working. Press play, sorry.
Force. Stealing, flaunting your wealth, striking women, smoking marijuana on the street, shameless public hypocrisy, taking other people's money for not working.
Dude, press pause real
All
quick.
of these things used to be...
I went to New York City on a business trip with some friends, and we went, I forget where it was in New York City, but... Oh, no. We did go to New York City. It was in New York City and D.C. We were walking around where it was not legal. Marijuana was not legal yet, and they had little pop-ups. They had passed the law, but it wasn't effective yet. And literally outside of a college graduation, as we were walking through the park, there were literally police officers like randomly throughout the outdoors with people with little tables set up, selling drugs, smoking joints, complete destruction of our moral standards outside. Parents with their kids at their college graduation, cap and gown, taking pictures. And in the background of those pictures is a literal fucking swap meet. And even the people that I was with were like, oh, it's normal now. This is not normal. And I was furious because I was watching the complete destruction of our society. But nobody even sees it. They're just like, oh, it's just weed. No, what's in the back of those tables? First of all, not that selling weed, it isn't legal. It's unenforceable. Why? Liberal ran cities, George Soros prosecutors, George Soros judges. It's the police are in an uphill battle. They've been demonized. They've been handcuffed. They can't even enforce the laws because it's a waste of taxpayers' dollars. It will just go to the judge. It'll go to the prosecutor. They'll dismiss it. They'll be back on. They won't even arrest them. And we're watching it, and that's what he's saying. Smoking weed. We're not talking about, a young businessman smoking a doobie, No, we're talking about legitimate swap meets, illegal distribution of drugs in our major cities, unenforced. Like as if you're in some third world. Dude, it was bizarre. I've got pictures of it. Maybe I'll send him. We can share it on this.
You're buying some bootleg DVDs.
Dude, it's unbelievable. It was a fucking swap meet. An illegal swap meet. Illegally being sold. They didn't have licenses even to issue for like legal dispensaries yet. So they were buying and putting up like these little like food truck trailers, like RV, trailers, parking them on the side of the road, sale, legal weed. You can walk up to a truck parked on the side of the road with a little window open like a vendor and buy weed illegally.
With a hot dog.
Yeah, you can get you a hot dog, a dirty water dog, a soubrette, and some weed right next to each other. Only one is legal. Soubrette should be illegal. They're so damn good. Anyway, press play.
Considered unacceptable in America. Not anymore. So it probably shouldn't surprise us that the greatest taboo of all is teetering on the edge of acceptability. Child molestation. A generation ago, talking to someone else's children about sex was widely considered grounds for a thrashing. Touching them sexually was effectively a death penalty offense. When Jeffrey Dahmer was bludgeoned to death in the bathroom of a Wisconsin prison in 1994, the Milwaukee district attorney had to caution the public not to turn Dahmer's killer into a folk hero. Jeffrey Dahmer had molested and murdered children. People felt justified in celebrating his death.
Of course.
25 years later, that standard had changed dramatically in the state of Wisconsin, as in the rest of the country. In the summer of 2020, during the BLM riots in Kenosha, 17-year-old Kyle Rittenhouse defended his life from a convicted child molester called Joseph Rosenbaum. Rosenbaum was trying to kill Rittenhouse, so Rittenhouse shot him in self-defense. But it was Joseph Rosenbaum whom the media cast as the victim of the story.
Of course.
Kyle Rittenhouse, meanwhile, an underage boy fending off violence from a child molester, was denounced as the villain. Ultimately, he was indicted for murder. One of the things that this tells us is the people who run our country no longer see child molesters as the worst among us. It's never been more obvious than it was.
The conspiracy theorists for the last 3 years, hardcore, probably 5 years, have been saying that this is our problem with your pride stuff. This is our problem with the communities forcing this down our throat. Because eventually you're not any longer just living your life and having equal rights, which I'm all for. Like, regardless of my beliefs and regardless of the word of God, like, that's up to you and God and you and whatever you believe, that's you. But where it comes to me and my children, the end is the hypersexualization of children and knocking down the walls of what is appropriate from an adult to a child.
And they've been pushing the minor attracted people narrative.
He talks about it on this.
Like, what?
Of course. What are you talking about?
How are we?
Are you talking about a
fucking
twisted psychopath rapist? A child rapist? Is that what you're talking about? Because a child rapist is different than a minor attracted person, maybe? No.
Same thing.
Sounds exactly the same to me. It sounds like, as we began the show, the words are the weapons. So if they can twist the words up and distort reality and then just say, no, minor attracted people, Zach, you have to be tolerant of the minor attracted people. We have to be okay with it. Why? Because we have to. It's our obligation. No, it's our obligation to absolutely, and that's what this whole
You're minor attracted people phobic?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
That's what's next. You know that's what's coming. But, dude, the conspiracy theorists were right again. And everyone who called us fucking crazy when we said they're coming after our kids, Tucker is doing, a fantastic job of laying out exactly what's happening. And if you've got kids, I urge you to go back to 20 minutes ago when we started this show talking about take a second and put yourself in a position, open your mind to the possibility that they could possibly be trying to allow an adult to have sexual relations with your child with no ramifications.
And I always go back to the people on that side of the argument, like, what if you're wrong?
Dude,
Exactly.
How are you going to feel about
Right.
yourself at the end when
Right.
all the
You're
dust
willing
is settled
to
and
bet
you were
your
wrong?
child's safety 100% on the fact that we're all wrong on this.
I hope
Yeah.
I hope we're
Yes,
wrong.
God, please.
Let's
I
say a
hope
little
we're
prayer
wrong.
together. Dear Lord, please
Let us be
make
wrong.
us let us be wrong.
Let us
Please.
be wrong.
let us put on tinfoil hats because we're wrong.
Yes,
Please.
let the worst case scenario in this that I be called.
Call
or
me
we
and
be-
say whatever you
Yeah.
want at that point.
Dude, this is the end game. Hypersexualization. And when we say, oh, you're a homophobic because you're against having trans people and you're against having cross-dressers and drag queens performing drag shows in our schools and in our children's hospitals, what in the fuck are you talking about? No, we are against the sexualization of my children. I've got children, school-age children, 3 of them. We all do.
And you know what's wrong, dude? And this is what pisses me off about this, is that you are made to feel bad that you think it's wrong that a man is twerking in a school.
That's the propaganda.
Yes.
That's the machine doing
That
its thing.
you feel that you're a bigot because you feel that way. That is,
Dude.
like,
It's-
that's the norm. That you people can do that in schools now, and it's okay.
Yep. It's the agenda being pushed down, and then the useful idiots doing their thing. They have no idea. They're typically good people. I mean, there's bad people all over, and there's good people all over. I'll go with that. Like, I'm not trying to make an overgeneralization, but the vast majority of the people who are enforcing these social norms
Are trying to do it with good intentions.
Yeah, they're just trying to support. You know, they probably have a loved one, a son or a daughter, an aunt, uncle, cousin, friend, whatever that they grew up with that they know to be a really great person that's gay, and they don't want to. You know, they want to put their rainbow flag in their fucking profile picture and the pride flag banner and say they support it because they want a virtue signal to that person and just say I love you. Instead, what you should do is you should pick up the phone and say, hey, man, check this shit out. I support you and I love you, but don't you think we shouldn't be talking to 6-year-olds about their sex and their sexual
most
preference?
of them would probably say, agree with you.
Oh, my kids just the other day said something about, I showed them a picture of somebody on the socials, and they say, is she trans or bi or what's the situation? My 12-year-old asked me, is that presumably 10-year-old bi? What is bi short for? Bisexual. What is bisexual? Meaning having sexual relations with both men and women. This person we're talking about is 10. You got a 12-year-old referring to a 10-year-old as bi.
Not sexual anything.
Open
at
your
that point.
fucking eyeballs, people. We're talking about sexual preference with children that should not be talking about sex. They don't have an opinion. They don't have shit. They know in their little hearts, their little butterflies, who they're attracted to. I can tell you right now, my daughter is more attracted to her 4-year-old girlfriend than she is anyone on earth besides me and her mom and her brothers. That doesn't mean she's doesn't mean she's bi. That's disgusting. And if I were to hear you say that about my daughter, I promise you it's going to end poorly for one or both of us. Because that's psychotic. And we need to take on that. That's the taboo we're talking about. That's what he's saying. It's become normal to refer to a 10-year-old girl as anything sexual. Wake the fuck up, people. It's not okay. It's never been okay. And just like the common sense gun laws, if you give them an inch, they're going to go a mile. What does a mile look like when you're calling a 10-year-old bisexual?
Oh, it's
An
over.
adult.
It's over.
It's over, dude. Let me tell you what I'm observing. What I'm observing with these adults, these virtue signaling, these hyper fake virtuous adults that are just dying to be a part of this movement so they can be a part of what they think is going to go down in history as some sort of savior and having them be some sort of martyr and modern day Martin Luther King or whatever they think they're going to do. These parents, these adults who are virtue signaling they cannot wait. They cannot wait for the day that their son or their daughter, or that their niece and their nephew or their sister or whoever, a loved one close to them says, I'm confused. Because then it's, now they have the fucking hill to stand on. They found their purpose to the point where they're fucking hunting for it. They're searching for it. And when you get a young kid who, when a 4-year-old says, I love my best friend, Sarah, they're saying, it's okay for a girl to love a girl. Stop!
Let that kid be a kid.
Let that kid be a kid.
That ain't the kind of love they're talking
That
about,
ain't the
bro.
kid, right? And if it is, who can? They just don't understand it. Why? Because they're a fucking
They're
kid.
talking about the same love they have for their dog.
They don't need to
Or
understand
their toy.
it.
Yes.
And if they feel really close to that little girl, who gives a shit? Let them feel close to it. At some point, they will figure it the fuck out.
Stop fucking sexualizing it.
Right. Stop sexualizing it. Stop normalizing it. Press play. We're never going to get through
we got to
this.
get through it, Tucker.
We got cats that need picked up.
Molesters as the worst among us.
True.
It's never been more obvious than it was yesterday when the Wall Street Journal ran a long expose about kiddie porn on Instagram. Instagram, the journal found, quote, helps connect and promote a vast network of accounts openly devoted to the commission and purchase of underage sex content. Instagram connects pedophiles and connects them to content sellers of child pornography. In one instance, the paper discovered that Instagram was recommending the phrase incest toddlers to users who'd expressed interest in similar material. By the way, no one at Instagram denied that any of this had happened, nor did Mark Zuckerberg, who controls the company. The journal story was accurate. It was all pretty shocking, but not as shocking as what happened next, which was effectively nothing at all. The largest circulation newspaper in the United States revealed that one of the world's most influential companies was promoting pedophilia, and nobody in power did anything about it.
Of course they were. What
The
about
Justice Department did
Balenciaga?
not announce an investigation.
right.
They're all,
Congress did not
they're
schedule
all peddling
hearings.
pedophilia.
The guy who runs Instagram, Adam Mosseri, still has his job. In fact, Mosseri's last tweet, which is pinned, is a video of himself bragging about how effective Instagram's algorithm is. Keep in mind as you watch this, it's real.
People often talk about the algorithm, but there is no one algorithm for Instagram. There are many algorithms and ranking processes we use to try to personalize the experience to make it as interesting as we can for each and every person who uses Instagram. We believe in this idea of personalization. What you're interested in and what I'm interested in is different, and so therefore your Instagram and my Instagram should be different.
What you're interested in and what I'm interested in is different, Mosseri explains patiently. So your Instagram feed will be different from mine. You're interested in children, that's why you're getting all the incest toddler posts. It's a highly personalized experience. That tweet is still up tonight. Of course, everybody at Instagram, in fact, everyone everywhere in authority, will still claim to think that child molestation is bad, but the tone has changed unmistakably. When they say it's bad, they mean it in a kind of abstract way. Bad like a civil war in Central Africa is bad. You wouldn't prefer it, but there are reasons it happens. That's why we now refer to pedophiles as minor attracted persons, because honestly, who can judge?
You knew he was going to
These
say
people
that.
are a sexual minority, so pause before you attack them. And in any case, it's not like pedophiles are barging into the
sexual
Capitol building to sit
minority.
in Nancy Pelosi's
Fuck
chair.
you. He's right.
Or asking uncomfortable questions about the last election. For miscreants like that, no punishment is too harsh. So far this month, the FBI's Washington field office has issued 11 press releases. 10 out of 11 have been about January 6th. Keep in mind that January 6th happened more than 2.5 years ago. Now you know why the feds were ignoring kid touchers on Instagram. They're too busy to respond. They've got much more important things to do, like finding white supremacists. White supremacists are America's new child molesters. We've got zero tolerance for white supremacists because no one threatens the life of this country more than they do. Here's Joe Biden once again making that very clear last month.
To stand up against the poison of white supremacy, as I did my inaugural address, to single out as the most dangerous terrorist threat to our homeland is white supremacy.
Press pause. That's the president, a sitting president of the United States, saying to a historically black college graduating class where presumably 99% of the people in that building are black people, telling them that the biggest threat to our nation is white people. I can't, I don't want to go, I don't want to sound like a crazy person. He should be punished at the highest possible level for this. He is gaslighting all of these people. He is suppressing their dreams and their hopes. He is downright lying to them. And he is literally being perhaps the most racist president in the fucking history of this country ever. Right out loud, right to the world. He's just doing it and saying it as if he's some black person. So it's free. Like, no problem. He's free to say what he wants. Him and all of his black people in the crowd, they're all one. They're all the same. And the white man is the devil. He's lying. And you know who the victims are?
White people.
Fuck them. Black people. They're the fucking victims. This is the president of the United... Of course. This is the president of the United States saying, you all need to live your life in fear as you graduate and go and embark on your career. You'll never amount to anything. Why? Because the white man is to be feared. And they'll believe him. They're going to believe him.
And you know, it's crazy, too, if you think about it in a real deep mind fuck. Because he's white, he's also saying you shouldn't trust the president. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
oh.
And obviously, almost all presidents have been white male. So
yeah.
it just the mind fuck that is there is very deep.
It is a very deep mind fuck.
It's that same, like, if you keep telling people to embrace the victim mentality, they're never going to get out of the...
He's doing... Right. He's not going to win this white man or the devil. Like, eventually, all of these people are going to wake up and say, I've never met a white supremacist. You're telling me that's the most... Like, have you ever met anyone that's actually met a white supremacist? How about have you ever met anyone that has ever met anyone that's ever met a white supremacist? Hold on a second. What, have I ever met anyone that's been a victim of white supremacy? No. Hold on a second, Mr. President. Are you lying to us? Like, this is gonna backfire.
Hold on, Mr. President. This is a graduation. You're supposed to give us encouraging words about our future.
You can go on and do anything.
Any job you want.
Nope. Instead,
worry about white people.
You are in a racist nation. The white people are holding you down. So they have no idea they are victims.
So in that,
but it isn't to the white person. It's the white man telling you that. He's telling you, you know what I tell my people? You can fucking do it. You know what I tell my kids? You can fucking do anything. You can do anything you set your mind to, because that's what a good parent and a good leader should do. What is he telling them? You can't do anything. Why? Because you are victims of white people, says the white man.
So in that regard, obviously I understand what you're saying. Telling them that is just holding them back, saying you can't accomplish it because of the white man.
Right.
But also some of these, not these.
It's him that's holding him back.
It's him, but also some of these people are taking that as we need to attack white people. Like, there's all these videos in schools of white kids getting the shit beat out of them and different things like that. So they're taking it to that extreme. Which, now, white people are the victim in that regard. Black people are the victim because they're being told you can't do anything because the white man's holding you back.
That's right.
It's just a fucking...
And the black communities are being held back. This is the behavior that's holding them back. But they have no idea why they're being held back. They don't understand that what's happening is they're actively being held back from this man.
But they're all going to clap and cheer and celebrate everything he's saying. Yeah.
Press play.
Yeah.
This fucking aggravates the shit out of me, man. All of it.
And I'm not saying this because I'm at a black HBCU.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, of course not.
I say it wherever I go.
A black
Pardon the
HBCU.
feedback, but you heard the point. White supremacy is the most dangerous threat to the American homeland. Joe Biden just
Is there
told
any
us
white
that.
HBCUs?
It's more dangerous than the threat of nuclear war with Russia. It's more dangerous than the threat of the Mexican drug cartels, who've already killed hundreds of thousands of Americans and are now in control of swaths of our southwestern states. White supremacy is that bad, Joe Biden says. In fact, it's worse. But what is it? That's the question. Can anyone in authority actually define white supremacy? What is it? Is white supremacy liking white people too much? Mm-hmm. If so, that's going to put those of us with white children in a pretty tough spot. Or is white supremacy something much more obviously bad, like trying to expel all non-whites from America and creating some kind of ethno-state? If that's Joe Biden's definition, what exactly is the scope of this threat? How many people are currently working on this American white ethno-state project? And what are the chances they're going to pull it off? Our guess is not very many and precisely 0. But we can't say for sure because no one has showed us the numbers.
Yeah.
These are not rhetorical questions. When the President of the United States describes something as the worst possible crime Americans can commit, you have a right to know what that crime is. You used to have that right. Under our pre-revolutionary legal code before George Floyd, questions like these were easy to answer. A crime was defined as something that an elected legislature had explicitly banned, usually an act that hurt somebody else. In America, crimes were described precisely with words in English and then preserved in books, which you could read yourself. If you ever wondered whether you were committing a crime, you could just look it up. You could know for sure whether you were a criminal. Now you can't. And needless to say, that's the point. The point of the exercise is to keep you off balance, to keep you afraid. When no one's willing to define the offense, you can't be sure whether or not you're committing it. You could be accused at any time.
We feel that every day.
Gotta hold your tongue no matter what.
You live in fear. Remember this guy?
Emmanuel Cafferty was driving near a Black Lives Matter protest in Poway in his SDG&E truck when he says he noticed somebody following him and trying to get his attention. Later, that person posted a picture of him making what some believed is a white supremacy symbol on Twitter.
Remember all that
Cafferty
when
says
they did all these,
he had no idea about any white power symbols.
I think they did Herbie Husker, the Husker guy
window
was doing.
when the picture was taken of him.
Like the
Later that
AOK
day,
sign.
he
Didn't they
says
have
he
to
was
change
notified
his
by
deal?
SDG&E that he would
Fucking
be
stupid.
suspended pending an investigation. And a few days later, he was fired.
What that man did was so offensive, as you just saw, that local news had to blur the photograph of his hand. Yeah. He was fired from his job. His life was destroyed for cracking his knuckles. He didn't know cracking his knuckles was racist, in his defense, but then nobody did until the day that poor Emmanuel Cafferty was unwise enough to crack them. When a crime has no definition, anyone can be guilty of it. It's hard to relax in a country like that. The old system was better. Government operated on the basis of laws, not amorphous moral terror. Politicians couldn't accuse you of something they couldn't define. The legal code was straightforward. Child molestation was a crime. Having unfashionable opinions was not. Duh. Outside of the public sphere, the population mostly governed itself, as it does in every society, and used taboos to do it. You knew what was allowed and what wasn't because the rules didn't change very often. The taboos were organic. They derived from collective experience and instinct, the two most reliable guides to life. They evolved for a reason. They still do. Our job at this point is to protect them, despite the hectoring, the nonstop hectoring from the people in charge. You know the outlines of right and wrong. You were born knowing them. So don't let them talk you out of what you can smell. Don't let them rationalize away your intuitive moral sense. Cling to your taboos like your life depends on them, because it does. Cherish and protect them like family heirlooms. That's exactly what they are.
Pause. All right. So, in summary on this, okay, just a couple episodes ago when we were talking about Pride Month and we were talking about what the agenda is, they've told us, they've written it in books, they've written it in many books. We talked about the 45 goals of communism on the show, okay? We've talked about what they were and how they relate to this shit that Tucker, again, eloquently and perfectly puts together. Number 25, the goal number 25 of the communists is to break down our cultural standards of morality. These are the taboos that Tucker is talking about. He makes reference to the ultimate taboo, the ultimate moral wrong is fucking with our children sexually, that they are now trying to install into America.
Just essentially, like he said, trying to blur the lines between right and wrong. Blur those lines so that they can accuse you or not accuse you, depending on how they feel.
And just remember, after this episode aired is when Fox News tried silencing him.
Shocker.
I mean, not after the first one, but when we start talking about protecting our kids and laws not being laws anymore, now they're trying to silence him.
I can't even... I have to try and remain calm, but just so everyone knows, I want to scream and yell at the top of my lungs right now that there is a single sane person. If you're fucking insane, I don't expect you to act sane. But I know people who were recently once considered sane, normal people that I would break bread with, eat dinner with, celebrate with, go out on the boat with, kick it with, vacation with, that are promoting this. I cannot believe that there is one sane person in this country that doesn't A, understand this, and B, is promoting it. They are now considered, to me and the communists, as the useful idiots that are unknowingly, I'm certain most of it is unknowingly, which is why I'm going to find it in my heart to forgive them. But today it seems
very hard,
difficult. I'm going to. I pray about it. I'm going to continue to pray about it, and I'm going to find it in my heart. The decency that they need, that we need to bring us together. But make no mistake about it. This is the number 25 and number 26, the breakdown of cultural standards of morality, aka our taboos, by promoting pornography, obscenities in books, magazines, motion pictures, radio, and television. Also, our school system is later in this. Present homosexuality, degeneracy, and promiscuity as normal, natural, and healthy.
Promiscuity was the presidential shit they were talking about.
It's absolutely insane. And listen, open your mind, people. We're going to wrap this up because I could talk for another 3 hours about it. I did a lot already. Just think about it from a different perspective. Just think about it from a perspective of, what if this is true? I'm not telling you it's true or not. I have my own opinions, my own beliefs. You're entitled to yours as long as we're still entitled to our own opinions without the fear of persecution or jail or punishable by labor camp or death, whatever it is. We're still entitled to that. You're entitled. But I beg you, I encourage you to say, what if that's actually happening? Holy shit.
Just have the discussion.
Just have the discussion. Talk about it.
Which they're trying to stop Carlson from having.
And when you see it happening, fucking put your foot down. Don't let these fuckers come to your school and talk to your kids about sex. It's disgusting, and they should be put in jail for life. Because it doesn't end. You give them an inch, they take a mile. It doesn't end. We've got to pull the plug on it, even if it means we hurt somebody's feelings or somebody gets left out, because you can't please everybody, and freedom is not free. Unfortunately, it's not. This doesn't end. It's a long play. Anyway, you got anything else to add?
Nope. Gotta go see a man about a cat.
That is what she said. Anyway, I appreciate everyone taking the time to listen to our shenanigans. Please like and share and subscribe. Smash that subscribe button. Share this one, man. If you share any of them, this one's fucking important. They're coming after our kids, and it means the world to us if you do. And as always, make sure you find your purpose, serve your purpose, and protect your purpose, people. Thank you.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.